Good morning, beautiful people. It is 11:05 Pacific Standard Time. Unfortunately, this backdrop here just has me feeling close to home because I am way on the other side of the country and it does not look like this backdrop where I am. It's cold as shit. And so I want to just thank you for being on time. I want to thank you for being present. I'm at Inman Connect in New York City, and it has been an amazing experience. Tons and tons and tons of intel, insights, ideas, direction, vision casting of what's happening in this real estate space across the board. And if there was one takeaway that I could bring back to this group, although I have a notepad somewhere around here of several takeaways that I'm excited to come back and bring when I have more time. But if it's one, there was a study that reports that professionals who are leveraging AI in their business on a daily basis saves themselves 14 to 20 work hours a week. So I'm going to let that settle. Think about this. There are AI functions for every aspect of what we do in our business. Admin, ISAs, marketing, automatic responses to emails, categorization of databases. And they're even coming out with more things that are going to ease and simplify our workflow. What could you do with an extra 14 to 20 work hours a week? Like, how would that impact your production? A lot of us pay for VAs, and VAs are great. I don't think they'll ever be replaced. But AI is actually replacing a lot of those functions that some VAs are providing for you. So from an administrative perspective, from a marketing perspective, from a sales call, ISA perspective, from an organizational lens, if you're not leveraging AI in your daily activities, you are behind 80 hours a month. Think about that. In your workflow. What can you do? How many showings, how many income producing activities can you complete in an 80-hour work month? In addition to what you're already doing. Actually, it would be in replacement to a bunch of the things that you do that frees you up to actually do what you're supposed to be, what you do, which is sell. Now, AI has been a conversation for like the past couple of years in this space. And at one time it was an option. It was like a warning. It was like a heads up, like, yo, this is what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, there was not one breakout session, and I've been here since Monday, where AI was not in the subject matter, was not at the topic. There was not one. Literally, someone in the breakout session yesterday, Kendall Bonner yesterday in the breakout session said, I'll give somebody $100 if they do not say AI in this session. Didn't last 2 minutes before one of the speakers mentioned AI. It is a part of the natural conversation. It is a part of what top performers are doing, both individual agents, vendors, brokerages, and teams are leveraging this technology to enhance what we do, to free us up, to freely set up, to go and be the phenomenal agent that she is without all the administrative tasks that she performs. And I'm just speaking around her because I know her work practices and the administrative contributions that she has hands-on in her transactions. Well, imagine being freed up 20 hours and not having to do any of that. That's how you get to the next level. So that is my one takeaway from Inman. I'm excited to come back, share a whole bunch, see you guys at Year in Review next Tuesday, but then share even more insights and takeaways from Inman outside of being able to get the opportunity to have a one-to-one conversation with Ryan Serhant, to pick his brain.
What'd you learn?
Oh man, that dude is just different. Okay, he's different. One of the coolest people I've met so far. You know, when you're Netflix superstar and you're selling Manhattan and you're one of the fastest growing brokerages worldwide, you're taking over the commercial space, you would think that someone at that level would be unapproachable. Dude was like, hella approachable, and was able to just have a conversation around how he went to scale, coming from nothing to now establishing his commercial space in Dubai, bro. I mean, it's just been it. I got so much to share, but I'm not going to consume the time, Dan, because we have a lot to do. But Lisette, she knows all about this. Got my photos with the man.
But how different is he though?
He cool, man. Kick back, laid back, super engaging.
Uh-huh.
Like, I had heard in the beginning he don't shake hands. I don't know where they got that from. He's just a really approachable. Yeah, let's have a conversation. I'm pretty much an open book. I got a little bit of time because there's a whole bunch of people that want to talk to me. But what is one question that I can answer for you? All right. And so most folks will ask, what's the secret? Now, if you're Ryan Serhant now talking to yourself 15 years ago, when you had no direction, when you thought that your identity was placed in something else and you learned that was a dead end, what would you tell that young man? And the response he gave me succinctly just blew my mind. And so, great, just it's just a dope experience being here. But let's get onto the field because we got work to do, Dan. And I'm gonna try and keep it quiet around here. But if I have to pass off, Dan, I'll send you a message or something. But you're co-host, bro. And we've been prepared for this today's session over the week, so I have no doubt that you could take it over. What's up, brother?
Let's do it. Let's
go.
do it. You want me to take the reins?
Take the reins.
Okay. All right. Vernon, thank you. I'm really excited to hear about all the takeaways from Inman. Hopefully we get some nuggets next Tuesday at the team all hands meeting. And that is my first big announcement. Let's make sure our Zilla team shows up in force next week. We got the team all hands Tuesday in the office, 12 o'clock, I think, 11 o'clock. It's on the team calendar. So double check that. But be there, be in the space. Word on the street is there's going to be a big swag grab too. So I know I'm going to get my Team Fast, my new hoodie, my new shirt. Kenny and Molly have been talking about a pretty big swag grab that they're going to be doing. So make sure you're there. We'll have some celebrations for several of you in the room as well. And then the second big event, you should all have this on your calendars as well. February 26th. So that's 3 weeks from now. We're going to have our quarterly Zillow Mastermind in person. So it's going to be in the Oakland office on the 26th. Again, check the calendar, book it. That's mandatory. Make sure you're there. Make sure you're in person. We only do 4 of those a year. So come, show up, be in person, contribute, get ready to meet your fellow agents. It's really important just to be able to have that sense of community as well. And then afterwards, like we did last time, we're going to do cocktails for converters. So we're going to be celebrating the people who had closed deals. I believe this one is not just for the last quarter, but this is for everyone who had a closed deal for 2025, which was 58 people that got into that room that had a closed deal from Zillow Flex alone. So big tent. We were able to bring a lot of people under our tent this year and get some success. So February 26th, be there for the mastermind, be in person, share your wisdom, learn from others. And then after that, I believe it's 5:30 or 4:30. It's all on the calendar, but a couple hours after the Zillow event ends, we'll all go over to a place over in Oakland just near the office and relax, unwind, celebrate your successes. So block those 3 things off. Big meeting next Tuesday, February 26th, mastermind cocktails for converters. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is I am very excited to say that I got my first Zillow Home Loans pre-approval last week. And this was not even on a Zillow client. This was from just one of my other clients that I wanted to test it out with. And guys, I got to say, this was super easy. And it was the most communicative experience that I've had with a lender ever. Everything went through Follow Up Boss. I got notes and notifications as soon as they were following up and adding notes, and I got emails from them. The lender was super communicative. All I did was follow that 4-step process that we've been talking about, which is talk to the client, tell them that, hey, I'm going to be passing you off to Paul. He's a lender with Zillow Home Loans. He's going to be following up, et cetera, et cetera. Do the connection through Zillow, transfer to Zillow Home Loans. So make sure that transfer happens. Initiate a 3-way text message through the Zillow Messenger app, which now automatically gets done. I didn't even know that. When you do the transfer, it gives you the option to automatically send a three-way text. There's just all sorts of new things. And then I called Paul afterwards, immediately after the transfer, told him the inside scoop, how the clients like to be communicated with. And that was it. We were approved same day. So if you're having bumps in the process, let me know. Or many of the other people in this room have gotten these approvals. But it was a very, very seamless experience from my perspective. So no excuses now, guys. This is easy. I got to say it was. And if you're struggling with any of the other lenders or the process, again, let me know. There's 8 different lenders on the Zillow Home Loans team that we got assigned to us now. So call 2 or 3, find people who are responsive and work the way that you want, because it is the most seamless lender experience that I've ever had. So, cool. Brianna, you said you just did it as we're on the meeting. Awesome. Yeah, right. I think you've got 4 ZHL pre-approvals at this point.
I think it's 3.
Okay.
There might be one that's getting ready to come through. I've done a deal with one, and yeah, I'm definitely sending them over. I'm not playing.
Yeah, good. Love it. And I want to say too, one, Stockton team, you all blew your goal out of the water last month for the ZHL approvals. So the goal for Stockton was 2 ZHL approvals, and the Stockton office got 5 just in the month of January with, y'all are what, like 12 agents, I think? So huge production. Bay Area team, we had higher in raw numbers, but it was 7 ZHL approvals. So there's a lot more of you in the Bay Area team, and Stockton is giving you a big run for your money. Way more of those approvals per agent. So again, this thing ain't going away. And honestly, I have found that it is a better experience than most of the other lenders that I've worked with too. So it is a net positive here. Okay, switching gears. So what we're going to do for today is we're going to keep hitting on this, on call practice, script role play, and objection handling. And I don't know if KD is in the room, but he brought up a topic that we are going to go into today and spend pretty much the whole day on, and that is pitching and objection handling around the single property touring agreement and the buyer broker agreement. How many of you have had any sort of struggle getting a new customer or had questions from a customer about that single property touring agreement, buyer broker agreement, when you're getting a new connection set up? Anyone? I don't see any. Yeah, okay. All right, there we go. Yeah. That's right. It's a tricky conversation, but we're going to practice it today. To Vernon's point about using AI, I started trying to write up some scripting for this stuff myself and realized, like, I don't know why I'm trying to do this on my own. Popped it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT wrote up amazing scripts. So I will fully attribute that. If you check the Slack channel, I dropped the link to the conversion playbook that's got new updated objection handlers for how to intro and position in a concise way that single property touring agreement on an initial conversation with a buyer, and then objection handlers for several common objections that come up with the single property touring agreement. I tweaked them a little bit, but honestly, 80% of that was ChatGPT. So if you're struggling to come up with objection handlers for a client, I saved myself 2 hours of time right there just from doing that instead of trying to write it myself. So let me drop the link to the conversion playbook right now in the chat. But again, it's in the Zillow preferred Slack channel. I saw several of you in the Google Doc right now, so I see a bunch of you got access to that, but here it is. Okay, it's in the chat. So what we're going to do, I would love to have a couple of volunteers, and if not volunteers, then myself or Vernon will pick some people. And what we'll do is just do 1 or 2 warm-up rounds as a group, and I want to focus on just the first segment of that, which is pitching, explaining to someone briefly what is that touring agreement. So we'll just do a quick role play, get 2 people on, 1 person client, 1 person agent, do it in front of the group, and then maybe get 1 more, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms, and then y'all are going to practice. And so in the breakout rooms practice, what I want y'all to do is start going through one, just pitching at the end of the conversation, talking with someone about what is that single property touring agreement before you're going out to make the tour. And then if you get through that, there's several objections, and I want you all to start practicing the objection handling with each other too. Kelly, what's your question or contribution?
I think I've got it down when I talk about the BRBC because I get it signed all the time, or I find out.
Yeah. What's your script?
It's real simple. So I just I basically break it down like a baby to them. So I make sure that I'm not using any scary words. And I also feel the energy of the client first. And if they feel like they're kind of just using us, or they may have someone that they're going to use, I do have an email that I send certain people that give me that they're a little bit more unwilling, but they're willing to sign it. Those people I might send an email to. But overall, I get on the phone with them and I'm like, hi. So, we're talking about the house, we're talking about going and seeing it. And then I always say, okay, and you don't have a realtor, correct? And then they'll say if they do or don't in that moment. And it's such a strong moment for me to know what to do next, because when they do have a realtor, okay, well, there was a law that happened that got passed in real estate, and it happened in 2024, and it's where now there's a form that is required to get signed. And this is how I explain it to the people that don't have a realtor. And then I just say, in that form that you're signing, it's saying that you're working with a realtor. And on it, you'll see that, I'll put the county, and it shows how much commission I make, although I usually always get commissions handled by the seller every time. And then I say, that's why it's important that you're only working with one realtor. And then they'll usually, okay, well, tell me more about this form. And then I'm like, yeah, I can send you information on it as well. But it's just stating that I work for you. And since we haven't met yet, I don't ever tie anyone into anything right away. So I have this form, but it's customizable. And what I can do is put that it expires the same day and just put that address. That way you get a chance to meet me and choose for yourself who you want to work with. And then they're happy to sign it and they're happy to work with me. And I usually don't have any problems.
That's great. And I really love the offering. It can expire same day. It'll just be for this property, so that it feels like the barrier to entry is much lower. To use that as an opportunity to get them to sign it. Kelly, are you sending them the full buyer broker representation agreement, or are you using a single property touring agreement?
Yeah, so the form was updated last year, and I got on the broker room, got on Car Legal, and there's specifically one form that they want us to use at the bare minimum, and that's the EXP single property viewing. And in there, it's 2 pages, and it's what they want us to use at the bare minimum. And then once I have them, we move into the BRBC.
Perfect. So I just dropped a link in the chat. For those of you who haven't seen this page, or haven't used the tool that Kelly was talking about, EXP has a really great resource, and it's that webpage that I just dropped. I'd recommend bookmarking it. It's their buyer's toolkit webpage, and on that it has the single property touring agreement and then the EXP approved buyer broker representation agreement. The single property touring agreement, I would recommend using that for all first showings rather than a full BRBC or a full buyer broker representation agreement, because the single property touring agreement is a much easier foot in the door. It's easier to get people to sign. It's limited to a couple properties. It's sort of like, you're just going out for a cup of coffee rather than asking them to marry you. So it's a much easier ask to get someone to sign that. The other thing too is EXP's BRBC that they have is much shorter. It's only 3 pages long versus the California Association of Realtors one, which is, I think that's like 4 or 5 pages or something. But then if you go into zip forms, the full one with all the disclosures and everything is like 14 pages or something, so it's a pretty beefy one, but EXP is fine with us just doing that 3-pager. And again, they're updating it constantly. So I would recommend re-download it frequently from that link that I just dropped, because I just went and checked and saw that the one that I had been using as a template was actually out of date. EXP had updated it with new compliance, new languages and stuff. So get in there, use that resource. What we're going to be positioning around today is that single property touring agreement. So we're thinking about this as it's a new customer, a new lead. You're talking to them on the phone, and we're getting them actually set up for that first tour using just that single property touring agreement. And then your follow-up step, like Kelly mentioned, getting a buyer's consultation, getting a next step, getting them out to sign a more formal BRBC. If you can get someone to sign a full BRBC for a longer commitment on that first showing, great. But I would not recommend that as being your first step for every single client, right? Feel them out. Okay, anyone want to volunteer to go through that little snippet of scripting and try the intro to explaining the BRB or the single property touring agreement? I'm going to share my screen and show you what I'm talking about here. And while I'm doing that, you can think of who wants to volunteer. Otherwise, myself or Vernon will go ahead and pick someone. Anyone want to raise their hand, volunteer? Going once, going twice. Okay, how about Chris? All right,
What's
Mr.
up?
Barcenas. All right, would you read us? Okay, so if you're in the conversion playbook,
Yeah.
you'll see this is at the bottom here. Objection handlers signing the touring agreement. And so, Chris, would you just read us? So I'll be the customer, and you can just what I want you to do is explain, use this script, what the touring agreement is. So I'll lead us into as the client. Oh, okay, Chris. Yeah, that'll be great. I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow at the property. That'll be good. Thank you for booking that.
Sounds good, Dan. I just want to let you know before we meet that before we go see the home, there's just one quick step I want to explain. California now requires a single property buy agreement before a showing. All it does is confirm that I'm the agent helping you with a specific home. It's not a long-term contract, and it doesn't apply to other properties. It just allows me to show you the home and property, take care of you if you decide you like it. If you already have an agent you're actively working with, they should really be the one to show it. Otherwise, this lets us move forward. How's that sound?
Oh, yeah, sure. Great. That sounds good.
Awesome. Perfect. I'll see you Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, Dan.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Right. And this specific wording is not magic here. So if you want to tweak it, add words, remove words, change it to your own voice, that's 100% fine. But the important thing is kind of have a quick, concise explanation to a client for how you're making this pitch. Can I get one more person to volunteer to read through this? And then we're going to go do the breakout rooms for about 20 minutes for you all to practice this with each other as well. One more person. Anyone want to volunteer, read through this as a group? Evelyn, how about you? Would you jump on and read through this, explaining the touring agreement?
Course. So before we go see the home, there's just one quick step I want to explain. California now requires a single property buyer agreement before a showing. All it does is confirm that I'm the agent helping you with this specific home. It's not a long-term contract, and it doesn't apply to other properties. It just allows me to show you the home and properly take care of you if you decide to like it. If you already have an agent you're actively working with, they should really be the one to show it. Otherwise, this lets us move forward.
Great. And you can tweak too this section here if you already have an agent you're working with. And what I'd recommend is look at this. There's an objection on here that's I'm already working with another agent. And there's a lot of content in here too. So what we're going to do is we're going to break out into breakout rooms for about the next 20 minutes or so. Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just pulled up the XP forms. I don't use the XP forms. I use car forms, and I saw the single property showing form on there. And it actually, the second page says not for use in California. Is that correct? It said California only. This form is not for use in California. What's that about?
I'll send the form I have, but I don't know. We should only be getting California forms because that's where we're at.
The link you just sent on the chat, I clicked it, and it XP took it. I went to the single property form on the bottom, and the second page says California only, not for use in California. So I don't know if that's just a different one or what, but do you see that? So I just want to give you a heads up.
Where would you share your screen?
Yeah. Okay. share my screen. Let me pull it up right here. Okay, share. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, where's that at?
Oh, and Jessica, I just read your note about how you pitch this. That's great. And I think
Oh,
it's
that's not it.
it's
Hold on.
totally fine to have it's valid for 24 hours, it's our opportunity to get to know each other, and then if we can go from there, right? Or if you decide you want to work together, we can
Wait a minute.
go further.
Hold on. Hold on here. That's not it. Let me pull it up. It's right here. Right here. So this is from that you sent single party buyer broker EXP forms. Look on the second page. It says California only. This form is not for use in California.
Huh. Well, that's new.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might also be because we do have the single property non-exclusive. So this is the one that I use.
Okay. Single party buyer broker relation agreement says California only.
So like this one, it might be because it's double dipping. Because this is the single property and already is
Chris,
non-exclusive.
Chris, would you stop sharing your screen and
yeah.
Jeff, are you able to share your screen and show us which one you're working with?
I'm on my phone, but I use it's the property showing and it's intended for a limited number of properties and non-exclusive only. So especially with
so that's
especially with the Zillow clients.
That's the California Association of Realtors one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I use too.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad we went through this because I did not realize that was on there. If you look, let me just share my screen real quick here.
Dan,
so if you look on
it's really strange because I always use the single property for my Zillow first time introduction and showing. And number one, I didn't know that they updated the form. But number two, when they updated that form, they added that second page because that verbiage wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about, where you should access the CXP page because they are updating it all the time, and apparently sometimes not always for the better. So, it's better than that. It probably, I'm sure there's a reason for legal reasons. But if you look on here too, there's two additional forms, the non-exclusive buyer broker form and the exclusive buyer broker form. So if you want the shorter ones, you also can use those, and those don't have the, not for California disclosure. But like Jeff said, there is a CAR form that's a shorter version too. I think the important thing is we don't want to scare people with a full exclusive buyer broker representation agreement. Having it something where it's lower barrier to entry is better. So, okay, let's go ahead. Let's break out. I'm going to set these breakout rooms up. And again, pull up that Google Doc. What I want you to do is just go through with each other, practice pitching the single property touring agreement or that buyer broker agreement as if it was a first appointment. And then if everyone gets through that in their groups, then move on to some of those objections that are on there. And if you want to start with I've already got a realtor objection, work with that one. So let me get these breakout rooms set up and we'll jump in. What's going on, folks? All right, people coming back in here. We'll give it 30 seconds or so because we'll have a few more people trickling in here as the rooms are closing out. But I heard some good discussions. Hey, Trinae, good to see you. I'm glad you made it. I sent out that invite like super last minute this morning, so I'm glad you were able to get the time to jump on today.
Yeah, such a pleasure.
You see, my little friend joined us too.
Buddy. Buddy, what a cutie. My goodness.
Okay, can we talk? I don't know if anyone has seen Joanna's social media lately, but can we
New puppy?
about those videos?
Oh, man.
If you haven't, please go to Joanna's page and watch her videos. Because
Brianna, don't get me distracted because I could easily spend the next 10 minutes talking about dogs and sharing photos of dogs here. That would be my preferred activity. But let's get a wrap on it because I heard some really good discussions that were going on here. Some good role play from the groups, practicing some of these lines. First off, did anyone have any takeaways or like like aha moments that they heard from other people of how to present this conversation, talk about that touring agreement, whether it was in your breakout groups or just having it in general. Anyone have any takeaways high level that they want to share with the group?
Yeah, I like how Brandy, how she says the next step is, instead of I'm going to send you this, she makes sure she says the next step. And I was like, yeah, that's great, because you're just leading them. Like, so it makes them subconsciously say, this is what needs to be done. The next step is I'm going to send you a single property showing agreement to sign. So just that simple 3-letter phrase was pretty cool that Brandy used.
So good. That is such a good phrase. And you can throw that in all sorts of places in your real estate conversations. The next step, what we're going to need to do is you're going to talk to a lender. Our next step is we're going to book a time to sit down and go through a buyer's consultation. Our next step is to do a Zoom call for an offer. Like, our next best step, such a good line. And that's a really good one to incorporate. And Brandy, nice use of it there too. Thank you, Chris. Jessica, what you got for us? What was your takeaway?
I really like how Mohan explained that if a seller is not willing to provide the buyer's agent compensation, like, he has a conversation with the buyer and let him know, like, I don't work for free. So if this is the case, then, I will let you know ahead of time. But when he said it, it just sounded so smooth. And I feel like if I were to say that, I'd sound rude. I don't know. In a way, it's just uncomfortable to say, right? Like, I don't work for free, so this is what's going to happen next. Yeah, if that were the case. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, having a conversation, talking to people about money and yourself getting paid is a tough and uncomfortable thing to do. But getting comfortable talking about money and advocating for yourself and for getting paid for the work that you do is critical for being able to make sure that you can earn a living from this job. One tip that I heard a long time ago for feedback for me when bringing up the commission conversation and talking about money and talking about compensation was don't smile when talking about it, which was something that I see people do sometimes, and I was doing myself at this point years ago. When it's like, well, so what I'm going to do, is I charge 2.5%. People smile when they're nervous, and so when you are having that conversation, self-identify. Are you smiling because you're being friendly and because that's just part of your flow, or are you smiling because you're nervous and people grin when they're putting something out there that they're worried, like I charge 2.5%. That's what I get paid. And that actually was really powerful for me when getting better at having that commission conversation. So, and Mohan, yes, good. It's if you can lace that in there of like, I don't work for free, but we're always able to get the seller to cover this compensation. But this form does show that in the event that the sellers absolutely no 0% chance that they're able to pay for it, then this is a cost that you would be responsible for. Do you have a contribution too?
No, I just wanted to, agree with that because, we all work for a living, and it's something, we are helping them as well. And then sometimes if the sellers don't compensate, they are not willing to, for whatever reason it could be, then I say, hey, I put in all the work for you, whether it is showing the property or pulling the comparables or writing an offer, negotiating terms, and all of these things, right? So it comes at a fee, and then normally, traditionally, or historically, it's a seller who pays. But sometimes, if they don't pay anything, then I let you know upfront so that hey, somebody has to pay. If you're not interested in the property, there are other properties we can look at too.
And that's such a good way to phrase it too, is like, if this seller is not willing to pay and you're not able to pay the fee, then, we can look at other properties. And like, that's just, if the closing costs are too high on this one, then we can move on. Great contributions. We've got just a couple more minutes here. Anyone want to throw in any other contributions? I did hear a lot of talk about specifically the compensation piece. Did anyone have any discussions that were interesting or valuable in their groups that they want to share with the larger group? And if not, I put on the comments on the BRBC. I say, if seller decides to reduce buyer broker compensation,
buyer broker may agree to reduce it to match. That's just something I do because, like, I always ask for 3, but if it goes to 2.5 or 2, then I don't mind, reducing it to 2.5 or 2. But I just do that for some people because it just makes them feel better. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's always reasonable to have that conversation up front. Soledad, did I see you take yourself off mute? Do you have a contribution?
No, I do not. It's just my phone is acting weird. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Yeah, one thing that I've done with the compensation that has gotten a really good response is I'll tell the consumers that we're writing in 3 to the buyer broker agreement, but I only charge 2.5%. So if we can get 3% from the sellers, I will credit you back that difference. That'll come to you as a closing cost credit. So I charge 2%, and worst case scenario, if the sellers are not willing to cover it, I would charge you. I charge 2.5%, but I would charge you 2%. So like worst case scenario, your max out of pocket cost would only be 2%. And I explain it like just like if you're paying cash at a healthcare company, they're going to have a cash pay versus if they're billing insurance, it's a different rate. So like if we get the sellers, it's 2.5. But if the sellers aren't cooperative, then your max would not be the full 2%. I'd only charge you, or would not be the max 2.5%. I'd only charge you 2%. And pretty much everyone's like, oh, okay, that's great. That makes a ton of sense. Or everyone that I've had that conversation with. Yeah.
So then a follow-up, where do you write this in, or is this purely a verbal conversation that you have with the buyer?
It's mostly a verbal conversation. There's a line in additional terms in the buyer broker agreement where you can write that in. So you can say, what I'll write in is buyer's agent agrees to credit buyer any commission above 2.5%. So I will write that in. The lowering amount, what I tell them is like, there's not really a place on the form for me to easily write that. So this is what I will do. If, later on I fail to do this, it's not worth, the 1-star review on Zillow from you that I went back on my word. So like, I will do this. There's just not an easy mechanism to put it in writing, but it's like, you can do more damage to me than the 0.5% is worth. So yeah. That's usually how it goes. Oliver, final contribution, then we'll wrap up for the day.
Just wanted to clarify what you just said about you would only charge 2.5 and you would credit back the 0.5 point. That's just a way to offer just even more value to your client, right? Instead of just saying 2.5%, that's it. It's a way to add value, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you always systematically do that?
Yeah, pretty much every time. I think
if the seller agrees on 3%, correct? Then you'll give to half.
Yeah, because here's the thing. You're only allowed to ask for whatever's written in that BRBC. So if the seller says that they'll pay 3% in conversation with them and you've written in 2.5% on your BRBC, technically you're only allowed to ask for 2.5% because you can't, or if you'd have to void that contract, sign a new one with your buyer at the different amount. So, but yes, I will. I'm trying to think if there's a time that I haven't done that, but I think every single one I've done that strategy where we write in 3, but I tell them I'm only ever going to charge 2.5 and I will credit you back the difference if we can get the seller to pay that full 3%. And it's happened a couple of times. The sellers where we've had more negotiating power, they've paid the higher amount and I've just credited my buyers back and they're super thrilled. So,
okay. Thanks, John.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, folks, we are at time, a little bit over. Thank you so much. We're going to spend some more time in our following meetings working through this objection handling, skills building, and everything. But appreciate your engagement. That's all I got for you. See you all hopefully in person on Tuesday.